We're live.
Hi. Hi, Khushboo.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Kumar.
So, we're just going to have a small conversation on what do you know about ghosts? Because this is regarding our upcoming Talk to the Entities class this month with Khushboo on the 24th to 26th September.
Mhm.
So, we're just going to have a small conversation on ghosts and just
Cool.
like the moment I say ghost, there's so much stuff that comes up. Like, you know, like I just get like there's almost like an image in everybody's head that comes up, and
Yeah.
yeah, but like, yeah.
Yeah. So, what have you been taught about ghosts? And how much of that is based on entertainment and pretty much entertaining you, either through those movies that you've seen or something that you've read or
Yeah.
um, so how much of what you are actually taught about ghosts is through entertainment or through complete disbelief. So, ah, however, there's this entire spirit world that's out there that looks nothing like the entertainment that we've been taught, but that is always there. Um, as in the founder of Dr. The Entities, which is Shannon, she keeps saying, and it is true, that there are more beings without bodies than beings with bodies, like physical bodies, like this body, that they have bodies, they just subtler but, on this planet. So there's this whole world that is out there that you're aware of. It's not like that we're all aware of, but we've shut off that awareness so much that or it's filled with crap information from crappy sources, uh, or fear. There's a lot of fear, so it's filled with a lot of fear. So there's this entire world that is out there that is not even out, like you don't have to go look. It's literally around you all the time, especially if you're in India, even more.
Yeah.
That is affecting your space constantly. Okay, and sometimes in a beautiful way, but a lot of times in the beginning especially, that space is things trying to get your attention or entities that are stuck, or there's a lot of things going on, so you don't even realize how much space you're missing till you actually start, till I started talk to the entities, till I first attended my foundation class actually, which is where I was first introduced to entities, and I realized, oh my god, there is so much space that I'm missing because of what I am not, but because of what I'm not turning towards, and I'm kind of resisting this. There's literally so yeah. So what have you been taught about ghosts? That is actually not true. And what if everything is the opposite of what it appears to be?
Hmm?
Like everything.
Yeah. Also, like if you didn't, I also get that if we didn't look for an image or for like a visual thing, then how much more could we receive from the spirit world, and how
Yeah,
much, how subtle it is, and how much we already know about it, but it's just
yeah,
instead of looking for a definition,
yeah.
what
So yeah, and a lot of us don't even see ghosts per se, but everybody has their way of perceiving them and sensing them. And it's and there's all kinds of entities, and the ones that would the major chunk that is filling up your space would probably be like people entities, like people who've died and just not moved on for whatever reason. So okay, cool. So how much of your space right now, just whoever's listening to this, how much of the space that can be available to you is not available to you right now, and you constantly feel agitated or as if something's like irritating you, or you're anxious constantly, and or blah blah blah, how much of that space is your awareness, or rather your resistance to your awareness, with ghosts that are around you? It's funny when I say ghost, it makes everything funny. Entities around you. Okay. And by just turning your attention, by not going into fear, you and by just being the contribution, and there is no dramatics in talk to the entities. It's actually very practical. There is no drama involved. It's literally like, hey, truth, who are you? Who were you before that? Who were you before that? Who were you before that? And then who would you like to be in the future? Because it's literally an identity that they're stuck in. And then you are just, and that is the clearing of the ghosts that we do, which is, that's it. That's the least of the drama that there is. Like, who are you? Oh, I'm this, and I died in this year. And you, I mean, I'm just giving you a sense of what it would be. And it's like, oh, do you realize you were something else before that, and before that, before that? And you don't have to be stuck in this identity, or which is creating this entity, which is creating this space, and you could be something completely different. And then you ask them to choose, oh, do you know you have a different choice? You could come back, or you can move on, or whatever. And it all happens within like 2 or 3 minutes. Um, so it's a very pragmatic way of acknowledging your awareness and not being at the effect of it, but the one that affects all energies around you. So how much space will you have if you were ready to just like acknowledge and just clear, starting just right there?
Yeah, and how much ease would your body have, because your body is aware
Your
already.
body is, I mean, you are also aware. It's just that your body is more willing to be aware than you are. It it doesn't have point of view. It's like, oh my god. It's just like, hey, something there, something there. Will you just pay attention, please? Pay attention, please. Pay attention, please. So your body is just willing to be more aware that you're also, like, you, the being, are also aware. So your body will give you all sorts of information, and a lot of the things that may show up, including mental diseases, including physical diseases. And I'm not saying this as a blanket statement. Every time you have that, that means there's a ghost around. No, but it's also, that's not what I'm saying. But there's also this space where if this conversation is lightening your world up, if it is pinging something, that may actually be something that you are aware of and is true for you. And if you look at it, it'll actually give you a lot of space when a lot of other things have not worked for you. Okay, so this is not like everything that's going on in your life is because of ghosts. And by the way, it's not because of ghosts, it's because of your resistance to them. It's not that, but it's also including this awareness. Because if you're stuck, like, if what we're saying is making, is just, there's some lightness that's going on, like there's some lightness that sort of starts, then you're aware, then you know this is true for you, then you know that, oh, okay, wait, there's something there. Okay. Yeah, this is not that every time you have these, everything is about, it's not that, but it is about including this awareness that we have so excluded, or we pretty much have no information or education on.
Yeah. And like I can say for myself, I remember I used to earlier, like when I just started, I used to avoid being in spaces so much because I just didn't have the tools at that point to sort of deal with,
Can
like,
I ask you something? What do you
yeah.
mean by avoid? Which spaces? What,
Like I
if
remember
you could
I was,
just
yeah, I
yeah.
was I was living in this house, and there were a lot of entities in the house, and at that time I was like, I didn't feel like staying in the house. I
Mhm.
would rather, avoid being in the house, and I would be like, no, outdoors is better, outdoors. But at the same time, obviously, it was like every time I was back, they were still there. So it was like they were asking for my attention. But the
Yeah.
more I started doing the classes and stuff, like my willingness to be aware and to like use the tools gives me so much ease, and I have
Yeah.
like a proper choice to now be in my house versus like just avoiding my house.
Yeah.
So
So do you have more space?
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I didn't have
And
that
more
space.
space to, yeah, and like, and you're not just like avoiding things and it's like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be there. I'm just running, running from one place to the other, wondering what is going on? Why am I always on the run?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's the gift of just acknowledging what you're aware of and not functioning from fear, but from pragmatic ways of like just looking at it. Okay, and not like drama entertainment or like Bollywood drama entertainment with ghosts, but just like being practical about it, pragmatic with the energetics that you're aware of.
I also want to
So,
ask,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, ask us.
Yeah, like I just want to ask how you've spoken a lot of times about how your space has become lighter and brighter. Do you want to just share something on that? Like how has being a facilitator also sort of just added to your life of
Changed
talking?
everything. Exactly how you said it. It's become lighter and brighter, quite physically. Like things that would seem like I would also avoid knowing and being aware of entities. Okay, so I would do all kinds of things to get my and most of it was like escaping and not really being present with what's going on. um and and I'm like physically saying it's lighter and brighter, like my world. And I mean it physically, like quite literally. Okay, so yes, everything's changed, and all of those, that anxiety, that sadness, that weird depression, that like, you're happy, nothing's really wrong, but then suddenly you're just like,
Hmm.
and you're like, there's this like dark space, and they're like, what is going on? That's just your awareness. That's nothing, like it's just awareness, it's not yours. And so that's what talk to the entities did. It takes that who does this belong to, like you're just aware. Who does this belong to is a tool we use in access consciousness, which is 99.99% of your thoughts, feelings, emotions are not yours. It literally is everyone around you. You kind of wonder why you are anxious all the time. So so what TTTE does is it takes that tool or talk to the entity, and it gives this depth to it, an even greater depth to it,
Yeah.
because you now include the spirit awareness in this, and it gives that depth, and it makes it more effective, especially for all of us who are aware of it. And again, reiterating the fact, in India especially as well, because we are an entity, um, we're not a culture that has we're a culture that believes in entities in a weird way sometimes, a lot of times, but it's still there. It's part of what we've grown up with. So, um, so yeah, it takes that who does this belong to, it gives it this whole new depth and more effectiveness. And that's why it creates more of a space for you to be you. And
Yeah,
not
I
all
mean,
entity world is bad. It's like that, it's not that. Like there is this, oh, there is so much that it wants to contribute to you, and there's so much contribution that you're not receiving because of this one point of view that all entities are bad, or I'm scared of ghosts, or they're going to take over me, or they're going to make me do things, etc., etc. There's literally nothing outside of you that is greater than you, and nothing speaks about this more clearly, more succinctly, or gives you tools like talk to the entities does, to be really, really honest. Okay, so it sort of gets you out of any of that crap, any of that something outside of you is going to take over you, something outside of you has more power over you, blah 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 blah, you need to protect yourself, you need to make buri nazar and this and that, all of that dissipates whilst not whilst acknowledging your awareness. So you are in a very empowered space
Yes, yeah.
with the spirit world so that you can actually start receiving the contribution from spirits that want to contribute to you. Because there's all sorts of your teammates that are with you, that have always been with you. Now that are your have your back. Like, oh my God, if you ever thought you felt alone, you have never been alone. Like you literally have all these beings and things around you that want to take care of you from a space of empowering you. And so teammates, nature spirits, you can start working with the earth in a very different way that is actually sustainable and magical. And then you can actually receive from the beings of light, and that's like a whole big space of receiving that goes later as you move through the curriculum of Talk to the Entities. Okay, so well,
Yeah. And what if
I
like
hope
this
I
is
have
all, yeah,
sold this to you enough. I don't need to sell it. It's just what's created for me.
yeah. Like what did you, I mean, I was speaking to this one friend recently and he told me that, before he saw his first ghost movie, he was actually never scared of ghosts. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
wow. And I asked him, like, yeah, and he was like, yeah, I was never scared. And then just after that,
yeah,
this whole thing happened. And I was like,
yeah.
how cool is that? So, like, what did you
Yeah,
know?
a lot of like, what do you know actually about
Yeah.
ghosts? Like, what did you know? What did you know when you were like a wee little baby and were just like all sorts of magic was going around you and you were receiving it without any point of view, without just like getting scared or just like till you were taught another way or till you saw something. A lot of the ghost fear comes from movies though. A whole bunch of it, including mine. Like I got scared. I remember because I've always been aware. All like most people who are going to watch this and listen to this, most of us have always been aware. It's not a special gift that I got after I did a Talk to the Entities class. Like TTT is not giving you this new gift. You've
Mhm.
always had it. It's only empowering you to know what you already know. Okay, before all of the crap that got attached to it. So I remember I used to be so scared. I saw Bhoot. Okay. And there's this one scene, like I still remember there's this one scene down the staircase, and there's like this, I don't actually, sorry, but I don't fully remember it anymore. But I think there's a mirror, and then suddenly that thing comes. And I remember in my room there was a mirror. When if I was sleeping, I could see the mirror, and then all these people are saying you're not supposed to have a mirror, and like, oh my god, it's so weird. And I remember just getting so scared because I was aware of things around me, but now I was aware, and then all of this got added. So I started resisting all of this so much, and there's so much fear that it actually started showing up years later as sleep paralysis, because there was these things that I used to talk to that I don't, that I used to be very okay with and just like whatever, and receiving and gifting, that I suddenly wasn't. And then it started showing up as sleep paralysis, as if something is sitting on you and like trying to like you can't wake up. Basically you're sleeping but you can't move your body, and it's all really scary. All right, like in that moment, and I get it, I'm like, oh shit, like what's going on? It's really scary. But that was stuff that was added. Okay, and I used this one tool, which is interesting point of view, when I first received it. That was the first thing I used. And then my sleep, I was just like, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And whatever, it was just my point of view. It wasn't real the way these things were showing up. It was just something that was just trying like to get my attention that now got so weird. And I did interesting point of view. Like for 15 minutes, I remember just starting like interesting, and then I relaxed into it, and then it became interesting part of it. And it shifted, it moved, it turned. I no longer had that ever again. 15 minutes of using it after like years of like just being stupidly scared, and all of that came later. It got added, and I remember like just everyone just scaring you, like there's a tree and blah 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 blah. It's not real. None of that fear is true. What is true is your awareness, which that you were aware of before. So it's not that it doesn't exist. It's all there. It's all there. It's just all this stuff that gets added to your awareness later, which makes this entire area very weird, very scary, almost wrong sometimes, and um, just and disempowering a whole bunch of times. Yeah, but it's not. It's not as scary as you make it out to be.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not. And you are the powerful one. I mean, nothing outside of you can do anything to you unless you have the point of view that something outside of you can do something to you. But you're an infinite being. Everything wants to gift to you. And if you're avoiding the spirit world, there's such a major chunk of what's actually available on this planet that you're just not receiving from.
Yeah. And
And
it's
that's
like now the time to say yes to
now
it.
the space.
Yeah. Is now the space. Yes. Oh God.
Now
Like,
the space. It's all available. And with ease and joy and glory if you turn towards it.
yeah. So join us, like those of you
If you'd like
who
to.
have who have felt any sort of lightness, like Khushboo said while listening to this. We're having a Talk to the Entities intro on the 24th, which has no prerequisites. You need not have done any access classes before or anything before. You can just attend it, and followed by 2 days of class in Pune and online. So I'll put the
Yes.
details below as well, and
Yeah.
you
And the
can.
beginning class requires you to have done access bars and the intro just the day before. So with intro, as is the 2 hours intro that's on the 24th, doesn't have any prereqs.
Prerequisites, yeah. So join us, and we'll see you somewhere. And you can reach out to either of us, either Khushboo or me, for more details on
Yeah.
the class.
Thank you for listening to a weird talk about the weird world and the wacky world of access and talk to the entities. I wonder what else is possible.
Cool.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Khushboo.
Komal.